Hello, this is Gary at Jack Raven Bushcraft. Thank you for watching our video. About a year or so ago I did a video around inner barks as tinders, so I thought this time I would look at inner barks as tinders. So I have a few here that we can look at. As always, this isn't an exhaustive collection, it's just a few things that I've managed to get together so far. First one we'll look, I've got here birch bark. So this is one that pretty much everybody is familiar with. So this kind of stuff. Birch is the second most common tree in the British Isles. Grows in a wide variety of habitats, so pretty straightforward to come across. Definitely worth searching out because birch bark is absolutely superb for fire lighting. In my experience, the best peelers, if you like, are the younger trees, and quite often they're not the silver colour that we tend to expect. Quite often they can be more of a purplish, pinky, brownish kind of colour. The bark just peels off. You can see it there. You could go along, you could peel that bark off. You're not harming the tree at all. It's a part of its natural process. So yeah, you could just go along, peel it, and it is a fantastic tinder. Works really well with a fire steel, that kind of thing to ignite it. Out in the woods you're likely to encounter probably silver birch or downy birch. Doesn't really matter which. As far as I could tell, the properties are basically the same. So here I've got some cherry. So this kind of stuff, really almost kind of like a bit like camera film, that kind of thing. So it's very, very plasticky. Burns with a really hot, intense flame. Cherry bark is absolutely fantastic. You do have to be, however, a little bit more cautious when it comes to collected cherry bark. So it's one of those where you give it a little pull, just a gentle tug. If the bark doesn't start coming off, then just leave it at that basically, because what you're likely to do is just kind of remove the bark and expose the cambium layer underneath and allow infection to get in there. So be a little bit cautious with cherry bark. We've got lots of wild cherry in the woods here. They don't particularly peel very well, but what we do tend to find is that, so for instance, we'll get a branch that dies off and the bark will remain in place. So the wood will almost rot away inside and the bark is still there. And you can just kind of pull off a tube of cherry bark. And that also goes up really well. This is Hornbeam. So quite common where we are, down in the southeast here. This, however, came from a dead branch on a live tree. So a few years ago, Bob, one of our instructors, many of you will know, went off for a wander around. He came back with some hornbeam bark, and I hadn't tried it before. So as I say, dead branch on a live tree. We just peeled the bark off and we were dropping sparks onto it with a fire steel, and it was kind of glowing a bit like the way char cloth does, but it didn't ignite. So what we did then was scraped off some of the ferrocerium rod into a little pile, dropped the spark off it, and up it went. Burnt really, really well. And afterwards, when I thought about it, of course, hornbeam, same family as birch, so that, I think, at least explains why this is also producing that that flammable bark. Then we're moving along now to more of a plant, really. So this one here, so this is honeysuckle. There are about 100 different species of honeysuckle, mostly in the northern hemisphere. So it is a native wild plant. We do find it around the woods quite often. it tends to grow in this kind of spiral shape. It's really quite cool the way it grows, and it sheds its bark. Again, it's just a natural process. You can just peel it off, you're not harming the plant. This stuff actually, whilst it will light with a fire steel, also makes a nice tinder bundle. So if you're going down the avenue of creating an ember, then this is a good resource to go with it. Last one I've got here to look at, this is the outer bark of Clematis. So it's another kind of vine-like plant, a bit like the honeysuckle, so it kind of works its way up into the treetops. It is, however, much woodier in appearance, and we get this quite coarse bark that comes off it, off the outside of it. You may remember in the video that I did on inner barks, it also produces an inner bark which is much finer. This tends to need a little bit of work really to get it to be useful to go up, but again it could be used as a tinder bundle, and also will ignite on its own with a fire steel. So just a few there to get you thinking, guys. Remember my kind of standing advice on it. If you're out wandering around in the woods and you see something and you wonder if it will make a decent tinder, well, give it a try. So take a lighter to it, see if it'll go up. If it does, that's a good start. Collect some more, and then you can try it with all of your various ignition sources. So can you light it with a fire steel, a traditional flint and steel? Can you light it with a parabolic mirror, with a lens? All of these other ignition sources, and start to build up your repertoire that way, sort of matching various tinders with various ignition sources, because the more tinders you know, the more ignition sources that you are able to pair up with them, the more chance you've got of lighting a fire in any given circumstance. So hopefully, guys, that is useful to you. Make sure you don't miss any future content by subscribing to our YouTube channel. In the meantime, stay safe and take care.